Have you ever looked back at your old self and thought, wow, I don't do that anymore and I didn't even notice when I stopped? If you've gone through a spiritual awakening, or even if you're just starting to awaken, you've probably found that you've quietly let go of certain things without really trying. It's not like you made a big decision to quit them, they just faded. It's like your soul slowly outgrew them, and one day you looked around and realized you were living differently. Today I want to talk to you about 6 things you quietly quit after awakening without even realizing it. And as I go through these, you might find yourself saying, oh my God, that's exactly what happened to me. These changes are subtle, but they're powerful. They show how much you've grown, and by the end of this video, you'll understand yourself better, and maybe even feel a bit lighter knowing you're not alone in this journey. So let's dive in. 1. Trying. Number 1. Trying to please everyone. Before your awakening, you probably didn't even realize how much of your time and energy was spent trying to make others happy. You said yes when you wanted to say no. You kept quiet to avoid conflict. You did things that didn't feel right just to keep the peace. Deep down, you might have believed that your worth depended on how others saw you, so you worked hard to be liked, accepted, approved. You wore masks, changed your tone, hid your real thoughts, all for the comfort of others. But after awakening, that starts to shift. You begin to see the heavy price you paid for being a people pleaser. Without even trying, you stop bending yourself just to fit into someone else's mold. You begin to speak up, set boundaries, and honor your feelings, not in an aggressive way, but in a quiet, steady way that says, my peace matters too. You no longer feel guilty for choosing yourself. You don't crave validation like before. And while some people may not like this new version of you, that's okay. You've realized you weren't born to live someone else's life. You were born to live your truth, and that doesn't require anyone's permission. 2. Number 2. Needing constant distractions. Before your awakening, silence probably felt uncomfortable. Stillness may have made you feel restless, like something was missing. So, without even realizing it, you filled every empty space with distractions. You reached for your phone every few minutes, even when there was nothing new. You always needed something playing in the background: music, TV, YouTube, anything to avoid being alone with your thoughts. You might have even felt anxious without something to do or look at. But deep down, all of that noise was just a way to avoid yourself. Then, slowly, without trying, you started choosing quiet. You started turning down the volume on the outside world so you could hear what was going on inside. You began to enjoy simple moments, sitting in nature, watching the sky, drinking tea in silence. You stopped needing entertainment 24/7 because you were no longer running from your own energy. You were learning to be with it. You realized that peace isn't found in more stimulation, it's found in presence. And being present doesn't mean doing nothing. It means being fully here, fully awake, even in the simplest moments. That's when you stop needing constant distractions, because you finally feel safe with yourself. 3. Judging yourself and others all the time. Before your awakening, judgment may have felt like second nature. You judged yourself constantly: how you looked, how you spoke, how successful you were, or whether you were good enough. That inner voice was always running in the background, pointing out your flaws, comparing you to others, and making you feel like you had to constantly improve just to be acceptable. At the same time, you may have judged other people too, not because you were mean or unkind, but because that's what society teaches us to do. We label, compare, and criticize, often without even realizing it. But after awakening, something softens. The voice in your head doesn't go away completely, but it loses its power. You begin to notice the judgment without becoming it. You start asking deeper questions like, where did this belief come from? Or, why am I being so hard on myself? You begin to offer yourself compassion instead of criticism. And without trying too hard, that same compassion begins to extend to others. You start seeing people as souls on their own journey, just like you. You understand that judgment separates, but compassion connects. And that simple shift from judgment to understanding is a quiet but powerful sign of inner awakening. 4. Forcing life to go your way. Before your awakening, you might have believed that if you just planned hard enough, worked long enough, or tried harder, life would go exactly the way you wanted. You probably had a picture in your mind of how everything should look: your job, relationships, goals, even your timeline for success. And when things didn't go according to that plan, it was frustrating. Maybe you blamed yourself, maybe you panicked, or tried to control things even more. The unknown felt threatening, and surrender seemed like giving up. But after awakening, something shifts. You begin to realize that control is an illusion. You stop pushing so hard. You stop trying to force people to change your situations to match your expectations. Instead, you start allowing. You begin to flow with life rather than fight it. You still take action, but now it comes from a calmer, more trusting place, not from fear or desperation. You learn to let go of the need to know every step ahead. You accept that not everything is meant to make sense right away. And somehow, in this letting go, things begin to fall into place naturally. Life starts to feel less like a battle and more like a dance. 5. Chasing external validation. Remember when you needed people to tell you you're good enough? When their opinions could either lift you up or break you down. Maybe you posted something online and kept checking who liked it. Or maybe you looked for approval from family, friends, bosses, anyone. After awakening, that hunger fades. Not because you suddenly don't care, but because you started recognizing your own worth from the inside. You began to validate yourself. You stopped needing applause to feel seen. You stopped shrinking just to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. You now know that real confidence isn't loud, it's quiet. It's the peace that comes from knowing you're doing your best, being true to yourself, and growing every day, even if no one claps for it. And here's the beauty of it. When you stop chasing validation, you attract people and situations that actually respect the real you, not the performance, the soul. Your emotions. Before awakening, you may have been scared of your own feelings, sadness, anger, fear. You pushed them down, you distracted yourself, you told yourself to be strong or stay positive. But deep down, you were emotionally exhausted. After awakening, something changes. You stop running, you stop numbing. Instead, you begin to feel, really feel, everything that comes up. The pain, the joy, the confusion, the peace. You cry without shame. You sit with your sadness. You breathe through your fear. And the amazing thing is, those emotions stop controlling you. Because once you allow yourself to feel, the energy moves. You realize that emotions aren't enemies. They're messages. They're part of your human experience, and they're not here to destroy you. They're here to teach you. You didn't decide one day, I'm going to be emotionally mature now. It just happened slowly as your soul grew stronger. Now emotions come and go, and you remain centered. That's emotional freedom. Now that we've gone through these 6 things, trying to please everyone, needing distractions, constant judgment, forcing control, chasing validation, and avoiding emotions, I want to remind you of something important. You didn't give these things up like sacrifices. You outgrew them. They fell away because they no longer matched your energy. Your awakening isn't about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you really are. Before the noise, before the fear, before the conditioning. That's why these things disappeared quietly. Your soul was simply returning home. So if you found yourself slowly quitting old habits, letting go of old identities, or walking away from old patterns, trust that you're not broken, you're not lost, you're awakening. And sometimes the biggest changes happen in the quietest ways. Thank you for being here, for growing, and for doing this deep inner work, even when it's hard. You're not alone on this path, and if this message resonated with you, just know it's because your soul already knew it. I just reminded you. Stay grounded, stay awake, and keep returning to your truth. You're doing better than you think. Let this be your gentle reminder. Growth is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's simply choosing yourself day by day. Trust your journey and let your soul lead. You're exactly where you need to be right now.